Hi, love. Alas, the last-born child, the supposedly attention-seeking, spoiled, manipulative, has it easy in life. And those are the words that are usually used when it comes to describing the last-born sibling. Now, I've already made a video about the firstborn, and I thought today, let's talk about the youngest sibling, because if you didn't know, I am actually a last-born, and maybe later on we'll talk about the middle child, but today we're talking about the last-born child, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So right off the bat, when I was actually doing some research for this video, there weren't a lot of confessions by younger siblings of how it was for them growing up, because most of the times when we even try to discuss this topic, we're invalidated, gaslit, because there's just no way that we could have any type of trauma since we've just had it easier. And I just think because of some of the movies that we watch and just not giving the younger siblings a platform to speak out about some issues they had, we as a society have just kind of concluded that there is nothing to it. Okay, my wisdom tooth is actually acting up. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the experience of the youngest child has not been completely studied accurately, I think. And we're going to debunk some of the theories that are out there or behavioral characteristics that are associated with being the last-born child. We'll get into that later. But anyway, what we experience is often not taken into account because there's always something worse. Like if I start right now speaking about the struggles of being last born, there'll be someone in the comments invalidating my experience, saying that, that type of response. Oh, and another response that's usually given is that, well, the parents were nicer to you, and as much as they were nicer to us, your resentment made that niceness not really mean anything, because as I said in that video, that the older sibling was forced to take care of the younger siblings, but now we're talking about how they took care of them, the resentment that came with that, being forced to parent, and as much as it was traumatic for them to become an adult, they could not have the skills to actually raise a child, so they were doing it poorly, which is not their fault again. But how the younger siblings received that from the older siblings being our second parent, that is a whole lot of thing, and it's one of the things that impacts how younger siblings view authority or view their older siblings, the relationships, all that kind of stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff that's just not talked about. We're gonna start off strong by reading a quote from Reddit where Kels says, "I agree. I'm the youngest and I was bullied a lot by my older siblings, and my parents were mean to me a lot as well and constantly used me as the scapegoat for everything. They took all the frustrations out on me. I was always blamed for everything that went wrong by both my parents and my siblings, and no one would listen to me. My older sister hated me, and my older bro constantly tortured me. He almost broke my nose and tried to suffocate me with a pillow. So anyone who says younger siblings have it easier are wrong. Lol." I couldn't find official. I found like a few on YouTube. A lot of the experiences are just in the comment section. Like no one's outwardly coming to be like, I've had it tough as a younger sibling, because they're afraid of being attacked and being invalidated. But like a lot of those type of situations have happened. I'm speaking like this because like, wisdom tooth, like the gum is kind of like inflated. So I don't want my teeth to like touch each other, because then that's biting it's a long thing. But like, forgive me. I'm so sorry. So let's start touching up on that. Some of the disadvantages or maybe some of the negative sides that people don't consider or see that younger siblings go through. They also say that younger siblings seek attention, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, can you blame them? Because essentially you have the parents making the older siblings be the parents, so therefore the younger sibling only has the older sibling to rely on, and they want the approval of the parent, so they're always trying to seek attention to get to the parent, because it's like there's no direct way to go to the parent. So obviously they're gonna be more trying to get out there and be noticed. So I don't think that's one thing you can just blame solely on the youngest child. There's always a reason why someone would seek out attention in any regards. And there's also a pressure for the youngest sibling to be as perfect as the elders, in as much as the elders have to set an example. they're setting that example so that the younger sibling can also follow that step. That step is also expected of them. So it's like there's no really any room to slack, because they're like, well, if your sister could do it, why can't you? If your brother could do this, why can't you? You know, and when you can't live up to that, you are then the black sheep of the family, the one that's lazy, the one that doesn't do anything, which can also be really tough for the younger sibling, and they can't really say it or say the concerns, because again, we're told that they have it easier in life. Oh, and there's this one, they lack autonomy, which means that the older siblings have a tendency to overprotect, which doesn't sound bad. Obviously they have to, because again, they're being told like you have to take care of your little sibling because, you know, that's all you got. But then at the same time, the younger sibling doesn't get to learn on their own, doesn't get to spread out their wings, which can be difficult once they've stepped out of into the real world, essentially. Because when I moved to France by myself, it was so difficult not having someone to think for me, because for a long time my sister would think for me. So it was so hard for me to adjust, for me to make friends, even because I even relied on I never realized how much I relied on my older sibling to make friends, because she would usually be the one that goes out and like bring someone home, and they maybe have a little sister or something like that. Then I would, you know, kind of attach on that. But now I had to be like responsible for myself, reapply for university, you know, all those type of things, which are really scary, honestly, when you're almost doing it for the first time. So that can be a disadvantage to the younger sibling, where people expect you not to, you know, do anything right, so they do it for you, and then at the end of the day, you don't know how to do anything. You don't know how to be sustainable. You don't know how to be independent on yourself. So that's definitely something. So there's this study that was taken that's also not very accurate, as they say, the youngest child syndrome. And they have some points that I read and felt they're not completely accurate when it comes to, well, which is okay, but like, let's just talk about them. So I'm going to read them and then really say out my opinion as the youngest child. So it's saying like the characteristics that youngest siblings have. So the first one says, a sturdy communication skills, constantly interacting with older siblings. The youngest child hones their communication skills from an early age. They be taught to articulate their ideas effectively, making them glorious communicators who can simply categorical themselves. I don't know what that means. I don't know. And to that, I say no, not really. It's actually quite the opposite. Like, I've seen where some of my friends who are the youngest who had older siblings, whenever it'll be like some sort of discussion, they will just be totally pushed to the side, like, your opinion doesn't matter at all, be quiet, you know, don't talk. like you're a child, this is grown-up business, and they'll be talking about where to eat. So it's like, it's simple things like that where they could be involved, they're just not included, which I think makes them less communicative, and they feel like, or let me say we feel like we are being annoying. Like, I'm sorry, I'm annoying you with my presence, because whatever you say, it just always seems like it doesn't make sense. It's not logical. You're not smart. Why are you even don't speak, okay? And that's just something that I have definitely felt sometimes, where it's like, I never felt smart. This is one of the longest time I did not make commentary channel, because I love this type of topics. I love it. I love making this type of videos. This is what I started with, basically, when I started with my social media, but I just never felt smart. I never felt like I have an opinion that matters, you know, like deep down. I always felt like, even like at church or things like that, where you could put your hand up and say a little opinion when we're having church discussions, I always felt like whatever I'm saying is nonsense. You know, like, I was never just confident. And I think a lot of younger siblings kind of feel that way sometimes. And the next point is that independence and self-reliance. As older siblings usually take on caretaking roles, the youngest child learns to be impartial and self-reliant. They develop problem-solving skills, develop into... No, I can't even finish reading that. Like, no, absolutely not. But also at the same time, yes, sometimes you're ignored, so therefore you just learn to make it out on your own. But at the same time, there's so many people involved in your life, you never really get to do anything, so that dependence is really not there. Like, everyone does something for you. Like, look at this video. That's definitely an exaggerated form of that's definitely exaggerated. Like, we don't do that. But I guess in the sense of everyone's busy with their lives, the parents, the older siblings, so you just left by yourself, so you kind of have to just take care of yourself. And the last one I'm gonna read, it says, confidence and social skills. Surrounded by siblings, the youngest child learns to adapt to a totally different social situations, fostering their confidence and social skills. They become skilled in making friends and building sturdy relationships. Like, no. Y'all don't understand, because as the younger sibling in the household full of a lot of people, you are not taken seriously. So when you're out with a whole bunch of people, you are silent. You are waiting to be told what to do. You are really just out there hiding because that's what you're used to, you know? And what's funny is that when I was doing some of this research, someone's like, it's easier for the best couple is the older sibling with the youngest sibling. And my husband and I are both the youngest sibling. And that's the thing, the younger siblings, again, we don't have that much confidence, you know, to like just out there make friends and talk to people. Like, no thank you. I would I'm scared. So my husband and I, right, we're both the younger siblings, so he speaks, you know, French. He's French. I am, you know, I try. Okay, so whenever we're out, maybe I want something, so I want him to ask for me, because again, I don't want to think, you know, when I'm with someone, as I'm used to with my sister, I don't want to have to use my brain, because like when I'm by myself, I can pretty much, you know, do everything in French, but like when I'm with him, he has to do it for me, and then he'll be like, no, you do it. That's how it would be, like, because we're both younger, so we're both used to someone doing it for us, so it was kind of like, well, you're the man, and he'll be like, well, you're the woman, you know. So it's kind of like we both have the, you know, that younger sibling mentality still. It's that sort of being afraid of, you know, people in general, like afraid of authority, if I should say. No matter how old you are, you still be quote unquote afraid of your older siblings, like you know, like, because you see someone who is in the late 30s, you know, still being afraid of their sibling, of their, you know, because, or to tell them something, because they still that imbalance that was created when you were younger, when they had the responsibility of you. But even though you have your own family or your kids and stuff like that, that older sibling still holds this huge role in authority in your life, and that trickles down to your everyday life, where people that have higher positions still kind of give you the ick, you know. So yeah, there's that. So when it comes to the youngest sibling, I think it also depends on your gender and culture and all that kind of stuff, because the oldest boy child doesn't really go through the same things as the youngest girl child, because the youngest daughter in an ethnic family definitely does not have the same privileges as perhaps someone who's part of the majority, like within Western countries and stuff like that. That's where the gender also comes in, where in as much as this girl might be the youngest, she might have brothers, but she's expected to take care of those brothers, which means that the role that she's usually given as the youngest, the baby, the spoiled, is probably not given to her. But because she's the only girl and she has to, you know, clean up after her brothers and stuff like that and take care of them, where in other instances the youngest girl should be taking care of all that if she has other sisters and stuff like that. So I think, you know, it obviously just depends. So I'm definitely aware of that. Not one shoe fits all. And there's also the boy mom, like there will be the firstborn daughter and the youngest is a boy, and he might not relate to this video that I'm talking about, because his mom is probably, you know, a boy mom who's obsessed with him, who will treat him with like, wow, you know, make him the king. you know, who has been the youngest and might not face any trauma at all, but will probably see like the side effects of being raised by a boy mom, you know, with relationship wise, where, you know, he can't manage his mom and his future wife or girlfriend. That can be a problem later on. And I can also imagine in some cultures where if a child has turned 18, they leave. And I can imagine the youngest being alone. You know what I'm saying? Like being alone because everyone has left. Everyone's done with their lives. Maybe the parents aren't really the best and they're just left to fend for themselves, which can make them have the personality of a firstborn because they're really out there by themselves, raising themselves and all that kind of stuff, and form that independency from a younger age because of how it is in their household. Some younger siblings can also have like attachment problems where, since their siblings are the ones raising them, once the siblings leave, ooh, they're gonna be afraid to be left.
Marceline, is it just you and me in the wreckage of the world? That must be so confusing for a little girl.
Because essentially they were their moms, you know what I'm saying? They weren't raised by the actual parents. So when the sibling leaves, you know, to finally get rid of the toxic family and stuff like that, they kind of on their own and they're afraid for people to leave. I took it really hard when my sister left for college, or they call it university, but like, yeah, took it pretty hard. You know, I was really by myself. And I realized this when I was writing this essay, that I really became like afraid for people to leave. Like I would think like people would just leave, you know, like I was really afraid of that. I still am kind of like, oh my gosh, you will leave, you know, you get attached to, because I feel like with every sibling relationship, when you're younger, like you fight a lot, and then as you are growing older, you become close. So by the time we're getting close, that's where she left. So it was like, gosh, no, there you have it. There you have it. And I feel sorry for people that have a huge age gap with their siblings, where there's like 7 years, 10 years age gap where the relationship is just non-existent. And that's where the younger siblings feel even more and more lonely, or more, they feel left out more because they really have nothing common. Because you see, you know, this grown woman with a baby, she'll be like, no, that's my sister. You know, how do you think that relationship is going to function? It's not really like, there's going to be trauma on both sides. You know, maybe trauma is an extreme word, but there's going to be some sort of unnaturalness between the siblings than for like an average, you know, sibling age gap, which is like 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, you know. Positive note, there are definitely so many positive things about the youngest sibling. One, we have so much self-awareness. This comment I saw on YouTube really explains it properly. Wonderful World of Awesome says, I think us youngsters, especially in big families, are more sensitive. This can be a bad and a good thing, but that reading the room thing, that's survival mechanism. You can sense good mood and know to avoid a situation. I was also supposed to entertain everyone as the clown. That made me funnier than everyone else. Now I'm just thinking how I've been told that I'm funny. Now I'm thinking, where the heck does that come from? Because I have been told that I'm funny. Maybe I'm not on this channel, but like, I'll take it. But like the reading the room type of thing, yeah, because guess this is the scenario that I can try explain this to you if you're not the younger sibling. While y'all were having your adult conversations, while we're sitting on the floor and not being allowed to contribute anything, we were listening, looking at people's, you know, faces, expressions, all that kind of stuff, always listening, always watching how people interact. Most of the time we were quiet. We were just, you know, shh, this is the adult speaking. You know, we were quiet, and we always really watching and like listening, and that has really given us a skill to always read the room. Like the slightest thing you can do, I will catch it, I'll catch on it. Okay, I will catch on it. That's one thing about me. I know to read people. I'm so good at that. And some things where I'll be like, with my family, I'm like, you didn't see that? They'll be like, no. And then later on it'll come true, be like, yeah, like you didn't see the warning sign, like you didn't see that, you know, because we're very hyper aware of how we present ourselves, and we definitely know when to say a joke or when to not, you know, read people's moods, you know when to ask for something, all that kind of stuff. And we're definitely very sensitive, absolutely, because we read into something like super, we think that other people do that, you know, and someone will do something, and then in our heads it'll be like, how could they not see that I didn't like that? How could you not tell? You know, like, I tried all my best facial expressions to show you I don't like that, but yet you did it. We never consider that other people are really, you know, not paying attention that much as we are. So there's that. And also another thing is that our parents had the test run with the firstborn, and by the time it came to lastborn, they really knew what they were doing, so they really tried their best, and that's obviously to some, not all. And also the siblings above us got to try things and see if it failed, and we get to see and try things and, you know, make better decisions. So we definitely have an advantage of that, and we get to be told, you know, not to do, when we get to be told and given advice what not to do, you know, where, all that kind of stuff. So there's someone that does something first, which is honestly quite great if you think about it. Now on Jerry's final thoughts. So, hey, younger sibling, your feelings are valid. If you went through something, it happened. Don't let anyone ever tell you that they have it worse, because at the end of the day, everyone has their own things that they have to go through, and your experiences should not be put down because other people had it worse, or what they believe is worse, because within your head is probably the worst thing that has ever happened to you, and you deserve to be listened to and validated, and that is why I'm here. Okay, I hope that this video helped you, and that you find some younger siblings around you and you guys can talk it out. And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.